What's that, Skip? Seano's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everyone, Seano here, and we're going to be going through the AFL Trade period that's just finished and all the relevant players for the 2026 Supercoach season. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot of cool things coming up next year. Going to be doing a lot of pre-season content. Going to be updating the videos, making them look a little bit more flash. Going to be putting a lot of work into helping you guys pick the best possible starting team for next season. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you like the video, hit that like button as well. All right, let's move on. Quick recap of who I am if you're new here. My name is Seano. This was my team last year. We came 7,318. Not too bad, not too great. We had a pretty rough season really, so a pretty good score for considering how rough the season is for me. And a quick also too, in the AFL finals, we did have a YouTube league, and if you were part of that league, a big congratulations to, I came first in this public league with 20 people in, which was really nice. And in my YouTube league, Big Gems with Mark won, Bojangles FC, which is a regular watcher. So if you're out there, Matt, good to see you. Well done on second, and I came third. So let's have a look now at the trade period and what that means. We're going to go through club by club, and we will have a look and see if there's any relevance to the movement of who could be interesting Supercoach players for 2026. So Adelaide, Finbar Malley, I don't think that has any Supercoach relevance, so we'll move on. Brisbane, Oscar Allen and Sam Draper. Now, there is a bit of relevance here. Not so much for Oscar Allen, being the key forward that he is, but Sam Draper. Last year was I believe he was a dual position ruck. Let's just go jump in here and we'll pop it in here. Sam Draper. So last year, ruck forward, and he had a pretty good season really. Like when he did play as a solo ruck, he got hundreds, and because we will see later on, I believe Oscar McInerney is leaving Brisbane. He is bound to be the number one ruck if he's healthy. So we quickly go back at the price. He finished the season at $430. So if he starts the season around $430, he could be a really good second ruck option, or even a potentially flex position. If he keeps his dual position status, he could be a very good one for the flex. Now, before we go on, maybe we'll just mention this year, fantastic. The sub rule is gone. Now, how is this going to be relevant for us? Well, it's going to be great for Supercoach. We've been waiting for this to happen for quite some time. So the sub rule's gone. Brilliant. Now we're not going to have to worry about our rookies coming on and getting, 5 points and then getting subbed off. I think it's going to make it a lot easier season, and I think it might really make us, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more, but I think it might make guns and rookies a really viable option this year. So the other rule obviously is the one that might be relevant to this particular player, is the new ruck rule. They're not going to be bouncing the ball. They're going to be throwing the ball up. So I kind of might think in my head, I don't know what you guys think, leave me a comment down below, but if the ball's being thrown up and it's ending up in the exact same spot every time, who does that favour? I think it might favour the big monster guys who can jump and tap and are a bit taller than the other guys, because they're going to know where the ball is going to be every time. So it might even get a few more hit outs for these guys. So does that favour Sam Draper? I'm not too sure if he counts as one of the big monster guys, not like a Gawn or a Sherry, but, it certainly could mean, I think those guys are probably the ones that are going to benefit. Like if we're looking here at rucks, like Gawn, even Brodie Grundy is not such a monster. He's more of a runner and a jumper, I would say, and it gets around the ground. So maybe it doesn't favour him as much, but we will see, I guess, when the early games of the season comes, if it makes a difference. God help us if these rucks start scoring even bigger scores than they did last year. So let's go back. So we're only going to really look at the people coming in who left, because we'll get to the club where the who left, which will be more, relevant. I mean, in some cases, like this case, we can look at. There doesn't look like much going on for Carlton, even though Tom de Koning has left. Charlie Curnow is also left, but you're probably not picking key forwards like Curnow. Who knows, though, at his new team at Sydney, he might do a lot better. He might be a sneaky pick if there's not many other options. Tom de Koning has gone, which means who's going to be the key ruck, the main ruck at Carlton? Maybe Pitnett. Maybe that's for the Supercoach season. Maybe if he is at a reasonable price. What price is Mr. Pitney at? And we'll just go straight to rucks, I think, make our life easy. Rucks and Carlton. 430 is probably too much. If he was around 250, 300, I think he might have been a viable option. Maybe, 350 could have been a viable option, potentially as a second ruck if he's taking the number one ruck position. But at that price, I don't think, if it's around that price, I don't think I will be going there. All right, let's move on. We have Collingwood, Jack Buller in, Brody Mihok. Is that how you say it? I forget how you say it. It's gone. Buller, I don't think that's going to be very, not going to affect Supercoach at all, I would say there. So here we go. Essendon, here's another one. So Sam Draper is leaving. Who's going to be the number one ruck at Essendon? They had that Vicentini guy who played a little bit last year. Will they be? They haven't got anybody in yet. So, who's going to be the number one ruck? There could be a sneaky chance at a nice cheap ruck for Essendon. Let's see who their ruck options were last year. Goldstein has retired, I believe. So Draper's gone. So Vigo Vicentini played some games. Nick Bryan played some games. So, if Vigo was the, number one ruck coming to the beginning of next season, that could be great. To get him on the bench, that could be awesome. Okay, let's move on. Fremantle, Judd McVie comes in. I don't think that makes much difference. Leaving Will Brodie and Liam Reedy. We'll talk about Will Brodie a little bit later on when we get to the club he has moved to. Let's go down. So James Warpole in Geelong. So where's he going to sit in the Geelong midfield? You obviously got Bailey Smith and Max Holmes and Tom Atkins. So is he 3 or 4 in the pecking order? Is he a sneaky pick for a breakout at Geelong? Not too sure. He showed a bit at Hawthorn, but wasn't super, Supercoach relevant. Maybe this is his year, so we don't know. But I think that's one you'd have to really watch the preseason games and see how he's going. I think they've got a bit of a packed midfield, so I don't see him being a huge scorer, unless maybe they get some injuries and stuff and he's like promoted to right up there in the guts all the time. All right, next player we got, Gold Coast, Christian Petrarca and Jamar Ugle-Hagan. So Jamar doesn't really matter. Christian Petrarca, though, let's talk about this. So he's coming in. Where will Christian Petrarca play in Gold Coast? They've got a stacked midfield. They've got Rao. They've got Anderson. They've got Torque Miller, who played a little bit more forward this year. So will Petrarca play that forward role? Torque Miller did an excellent job in that role this year. I'd be very surprised if they kicked him out to play back into the midfield, but maybe they do. So that's a watch for the beginning of the season. Will he retain his dual position status? That might help us decide whether we're going to pick him or not. But yeah, it's just going to be very interesting where he fits in that team with such a stacked midfield. Who left? I don't think Sam Flanders is leaving, so we'll talk about him when we get to him. I don't think anybody else there is really going to be too relevant. Maybe Connor Buderick, I believe he's gone to Western Bulldogs. So sorry about the destroying of the names. I also forgot, in the old midfield there with Gold Coast, they got Bailey Humphrey. So that's another one that Petrarca is going to have to compete with. So I think it's going to be tough for him to be a real, huge ball winner with such a stacked team. Right, GWS, they've got the Clayton Oliver. Will anyone be brave enough to pick Clayton Oliver this year? I don't know. I don't think I'll be going there again, not unless the preseason shows something amazing. And again, they've got a pretty good midfield. They've already got Tom Green. They've already got Finn Callaghan. So I think they've had a few retirements. After we've done this, we're going to look at the delisting and retirement. So we'll talk about that a little bit then. But, where does he sit in the pecking order? I mean, he's definitely behind Tom Green and Finn Callaghan, you would think, at the moment. Is he going to affect those boys? Who knows? Who really knows? I mean, we'd have to see a lot out of him in the preseason to think about picking him. Let's move on. Hawthorn got nobody. Got rid of Jai Sarong, and they got rid of James Warpole. So who's going to be the gun midfielders at Hawthorn this year? Probably, again, I don't think they're going to be that relevant. Really, they don't seem to have. Pity Zach Merritt didn't go there, because if Zach Merritt had gone there, he would have been a really good pick, I think, with some good media, good midfielders around him. He could have been getting huge scores and a bit of help. But, I don't think we're going to be picking any Hawthorn midfielders this year. Now, Melbourne, this is kind of interesting. So, they got Max Heath. So, he's that ruck guy who played for a little bit for St Kilda. So, does that mean he's going to be playing a little bit with Max Gawn? We'll have to look. Jeff Mihawk and Jack Steele. So, they're losing, Oliver and Petrarca, and they're bringing in Steele. So does that mean Steele's going to be the number one man, right? He has to be the number one man. Does that mean he's pickable next year? I mean, I think he could be a pretty good price. So let's get rid of this and we'll have a look. We're around about... So he finished the season at 439. So I could be tempted to even take a punt at him. Who's going to take the points off him in the midfield? Now, not that it's really relevant to the trade period, but I think Harvey Langford, if he moves into full-time midfield at who we all had him, as a rookie this year, or most of us did. If he moves into full-time midfield, he was a gun in his younger years, a real accumulator of the ball. So maybe that's going to be a bit relevant. Maybe in that way it's going to be relevant because, if he's getting a lot more of the ball, I think he's going to be pretty cheap. Let's have a look and see. How much will he be around? Harvey Langford, he's $350 at the end of this season. So he could be an option for one of your mid prices if he's in there and playing that accumulator midfielder role. All right, let's move on. So I think Melbourne are one of the more interesting ones, the ones we have to watch during the beginning of the season to see where that's kind of midfield, plays out, how their midfield plays out. North Melbourne, Charlie Spargo and Finbar Malley left, Spargo in, Malley out. Don't think there's any relevance to Supercoach there at all. Port Adelaide, Will Brodie, Corey Duran and Jacob Ware all coming in. Now this could be interesting. So Will Brodie, we've seen what he can do if he gets full games in the midfield. He had a bumper season, 2022, I think it says down the bottom here, where he was smashing scores out at Fremantle. But then they just never really used him after that. So if there's a position for him, so if Rosie stays back, and we've had a retirement from Boak. Boak is retired, and he played a little bit more forward this year. So Will Brodie's not going to play forward. He's a mid, basically mid and mid only. That's his position. So maybe he gets chucked in there next to Butters, and our friend Jason Horne-Francis goes forward a little bit again. Does Jason Horne-Francis play right in the guts? Ollie Wines is still there, but he's getting a bit old. I think he's around 30 years old now. So I think Will Brodie's a little bit younger than that. I think Will Brodie's still 27 years old, so he still should be pretty much in his prime. If he gets a regular game, and let's see what type of price. I think if he's playing regularly in the middle, he's going to be a lock. Will Brodie, I had 191. If he is playing, sorry, you guys can't really see that, 191,000 end last year. If he plays and he's around that price, I think he's going to be almost a must-have, just on what he can do. So we'll have to, again, another one to watch in the preseason to see what happens. Richmond, Patrick, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last name because we're not having much luck with last names today. And Tyler Young is left. I think that makes no Supercoach relevance at all. St Kilda, okay, here's another big one. St Kilda was very, very active during the trade period. They got Silvani, Tom De Koning, Sam Flanders, and Liam Bryan, and they lost Jack Steele and Max Heath. So Tom De Koning coming in, him and Marshall still there together. I think that writes them both off for picks next year. If they both play in the same team, you're not going to be able to pick either of them. So I put a line through both of those guys unless somebody's injured or we see someone drop to the twos or something like that. I don't see how you can pick either of them. Sam Flanders, he's the interesting one. If he gets that, off the back running position, gets that ball distribute from the back line type position like we saw him do not last year but the year before, he could be a very good pick. He's another one. It's dependent on role, but if he gets that role, I'll definitely be picking him. So even if he plays in the midfield, he's priced at 337 at the end of last year, and so I think at that price, if it's in the defense, especially if he holds this forward midfielder, he could be a good pick for our forward lines. He could be, if he's playing in the back line, if we have a quick look at what he's capable of, we go back to 2024. We'll go to season stats, 2024. This is what we could look forward to. So he's gone like 124, 128, 100, 125, 116. If you look down here, he's only gone below 100 two times where he got 90s. So, if he can get that same role back there at St Kilda, he's going to be an automatically walk-up pick for hopefully our forward lines if he's a mid-forward. All right, who's next? So that's kind of relevant. As we saw, Jack Steele leaves. Who does that make then gun midfielders are going to be? I guess that's another one we can look at. I don't really... Nasai Wangani Malera, he's expensive, but, without Jack Steele, he was already kind of the man, so I don't think Jack Steele really affected him too much. Now, he's going to be even more the man next year, but maybe that he cops a few extra tags if Steele's not around. So, and yet, we'll have to look too to see, is he playing that back role or is he playing the midfield role? Again, you would think that, or we don't know, but maybe Sam Flanders goes back, Wangani Malera plays in the middle, maybe it's the other way around, Flanders plays in the middle, Wangani Malera plays in the back. We'll have to wait and see how the coach decides to line up his players there. So for Sydney, they got Curnow, Jai Sarong, and Malcolm Rosa Jr., and Will Hayward, Ollie Florian, and Jack Buller left. Obviously, this is going to strengthen their team quite a lot. Sydney, they got a really good forward, one of the best forwards in the league, a really good back. There's nothing. This gentleman is a very good back player. So, and Jai Sarong is a good young guy. So, I think they've done very well in the trade period. Is it going to be Supercoach relevant? I think Malcolm Rosa could be a sneaky pick, but maybe not. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. So West Coast arrived Brandon Starcevich and Tyler Young, leaving Oscar Allen, Campbell Chesser, and Liam Bryan. Supercoach relevance, not too much, except for I'd be interested to see these are two backmen we brought in. What does that do with McCarthy and Marrick? Does that mean McCarthy plays midfield? Does it mean Marek is pushed forward on the sides? Is it going to be Supercoach relevant? I will look at McCarthy depending on his role. So it could be, but not too much, I think. And we go down to the Bulldogs. Connor Budarick. So why I mentioned him a little bit earlier. If he gets... They've got him in to play back, I believe. So they also grabbed Gold Coast lockdown defender Connor Budarick, who is right home trying to limit the opposition mode dangerous small forwards. So I believe we had him as a forward this year. So if he could be, we can get him in the forward, but he's playing in the back line. We all know we like it when that happens. So let's just have a look. I believe he's pretty cheap. If I can spell, which I don't seem to be able to. Yep, seem to be struggling. Seano seems to be struggling. Budar, that's how you spell his name. Budar. Here we are. So he's only 270k at the end of this season. I'll move this across a little bit for you guys. So 270. So if he was playing in the forward line, he'd be one of those value options, playing in the forward line, but, out of the midfield. Okay, who else? Do we have anybody else? I think that is it. That's the Bulldogs. So not very Supercoach relevant either there. So that is the trades that have been done as of October 2025. Obviously, we've got a lot of time to go before the beginning of seasons. Let's have a really quick look at the retirements and the delistings. So Adelaide, Matt Crouch retiring. So that means there's another spot there in the midfield. Not too sure who's going to fill that in. Still believe Jordan Dawson's going to be the number one man. And then after him, maybe Saligo. And then I'm not too sure who's going to be filling the boots there. So we might have some options there. Then nobody else. Brodie Smith retired. Used to grab him in drafts sometimes, but I don't think there's anything else too much relevant there. Brisbane, Oscar McInerney, as we discussed, is retiring, which is opening the way for Sam Draper. The only other real The only other real ruck they have is Darcy Fort, and I don't think they see him as a number one ruck, not at the moment anyway. So I'm pretty sure that if Sam Draper's fit, he gets the gig. No one else there is really relevant. Carlton, like we talked about, Tom De Koning, does that make Pitton number one ruck? You would think so. Doherty retired, so no one else there. It seems really relevant. It's going to affect Supercoach too much. Collingwood, Charlie Dean, Will Oskin, yep. So no one here really seems like they're going to affect their team or Supercoach too much either. Essendon, as we discussed, Sam Draper's traded out, so it's going to be an interesting look at their ruck line. And then nobody else seems too relevant there either. Fremantle, we talked about Will Brodie. Nat Pfeiffer's retired. Michael Walters is retired as well. So that means they're going to need another kind of, forward, goal. Maybe he could run through the midfield. So it'd be interesting to see who fills that Michael Walters role. Geelong, Mitch Duncan retired, so, a few of us had him over the last few years in different positions. I don't think it's too relevant. Gold Coast, we talked about Connor Budarick. We talked about Sam Flanders. I don't see anybody else there that's really... David Swallow retired, so... And Malcolm Roses. I guess it's Roses, not Rosa, like I was saying. So they might have, like with Malcolm Roses going, I'm kind of hoping that Sam Flanders goes straight into that position. Like that would be the ideal scenario. He's left, Flanders goes, he's not for playing for them for anymore. That would have been ideal, right? If Sam Flanders had stayed there, Roses could have gone and Flanders could have taken that position, but not to be. GWS, Callum Ward is retired, so maybe Clayton Oliver is going to be kind of filling the Callum Ward position. They've also forgot about Josh Kelly is still playing them. They've still got Stephen Coniglio, so I really don't know how Clayton Oliver is going to fit into that team. Whoops, sorry about that, crew. Hawthorn doesn't see much relevance here. We talked a little bit about James Walpole. Melbourne, there's a lot going on in Melbourne. Melbourne look like they might be not a great team last year. They weren't a great team this year, but they look, on paper, so far, they look worse. Billings is gone, so you can't pick him. Truck is gone. Oliver's gone. No other real relevance there. North Melbourne doesn't seem, they've had Teagle, who was one of their backup rucks, is gone. So, interesting to see what's going to happen in their ruck department. Port Adelaide, Travis Boak, like we said, retired. Ryan Burton delisted. That's interesting. He used to be one that I'd pick up in my drafts quite a lot. Used to be pretty handy for like 70 or 80 points most weeks. Willie Rioli is left, so, maybe they're going to need a little bit. So this is why I'm thinking, who goes forward? Does Jason Horne-Francis play in the midfield, or does he go and cover that like Willie Rioli position, and then Will Brodie play in the midfield? It's going to be interesting. Port Adelaide's another one I think is going to be a bit interesting to keep an eye on. Richmond, I think there is no relevance here at all. St Kilda, Harry Boyd delisted, so that was that ruck, the cheap ruck, which hardly ever played the first couple of games, never played again. So they've got lots in the ruck now with De Koning and the big boy, the big boy Marshall. So I don't think they're going to need him. That's fine. And same with Max Heath. They don't need him. Sydney, I don't think any of those players leaving is going to affect Supercoach at all. West Coast, Jaden Hunt retiring. So he's a ball carrier from out back. So again, that back line is going to be very interesting with the two new midfield players, Brisbane players in there, and Dev Robertson if they pick him up. Who's going to be playing back and who's going to be playing in the midfield, even though on paper, again, West Coast look even worse this year, if that's even possible as a West Coast supporter. Now, at least we kind of had a forward line last year. Now with Oscar Allen and Liam Ryan gone, we don't have a forward line either. So we went from having since COVID times, we've had no midfield, but we had a decent back line and a decent forward line. Then we still got no midfield. Now we got no back line, and now we got no forward line. Last year we had no back line after a few retirements, losing Jeremy McGovern and Hearn the season before, and then now this year we lose probably our two main forwards. So I wouldn't be surprised. Oscar Allen in chance for the Coleman next year at Brisbane. He's going to get a lot of delivery from good midfielders, right on the chest that he wasn't getting at West Coast. So I think he could be if you want to put a sneaky bet on for the Coleman, Oscar Allen might be the one to go. So that's pretty much all we know so far. We're going to wrap the video up there. So like we said, I've got lots of new stuff coming on for my videos. So whatever you do, make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment down below. What do you think about are you loving the fact that there's no subs? No sub rule like me? What do you think the new ruck change rule is going to happen? And what do you think's the most, out of any of these players are the ones that are really standing out to you, like we must pick them? Like the Sam Flanders, a lot of people are really bullish on Sam Flanders. I mean, we need to see their roles, but is there a player here that you're like, yes, get in my team? Anyway, thank you all for so much for watching. Next video will probably be around about when the team picker comes out, and we can pick our team and have a look at prices and the new how the new players fit in, and everything else that we can do then regarding to Supercoach. And so it's a real pleasure doing these videos for you guys. So hopefully you'll all join me again very soon. Have a great day. Take it away, Skip.